Hi y'all, this video is going to use the class data that I provide you in Canvas and use that to calculate the average, the standard deviation, and then run it by graphing it to round out the assignment. So first thing you want to do is calculate the average. If you click down here and next to average, we are going to calculate the average for our non-distracted column first. So in that highlighted box, type equals AV. And we're going to select the second option, average. Double click. And then go ahead and click on your first number here. Hold and drag so that you're selecting the entire column and click enter. And now you have the average calculated for this column. One thing I will show you, if your average does calculate out to quite a few decimal places, I have it set so it only shows 2 decimal places. If yours comes up with, 5, 6, 7 decimal places, just right click here and go to Format Cells and then click Number, and then you can set it to how many decimal places you want it to show. So again, I have it set to 2. 2 keeps it clean. I will give you the data out to 2 decimal places, so it is just easier if you change your formatting to show the 2 decimal places as well. So now we want to calculate the average for the distracted column. Shortcut here, since you have the formula in this box for the average for non-distracted, if you have the average box selected, hover over this little green square until you get a black cross, and then you just click and drag to the right, and it copies the formula for you. So now you have the average for non-distracted and distracted. And then we need to calculate the standard deviation. You'll click next to standard deviation and type equals STDE, and then you're going to want to use this option here, the STDEV, double click, and then again we're going to highlight our non-distracted column and hit enter. Standard deviation is totally fine if you leave it out to this many decimal places. It will typically calculate it out to that many anyways, because standard deviation is a lot more exact than your averages. So go ahead and just leave it like this. And again, our shortcut here, we're going to just get our little black cross, click and drag to the right, and now we have our standard deviation for our distracted column as well. So our last calculation we have to do is we have to run our t-test. So here next to t-test, type equals t-test, enter. Well, actually just double click there. And you'll get your options to pop up. So you'll see array 1, array 2, tails, and type. The arrays are the data sets that we're going to use to run the test. So for array 1, it's bolded here, highlighted in blue. We're going to select non-distracted. Do not hit enter after you distract, but instead type a comma. And then you'll see array 2 is now bolded. So go ahead and select the distracted column for array 2. Again, comma. And now the tails options pop up. You'll see you get the options for one-tailed or two-tailed distribution. For the purpose of this experiment, we are running a one-tailed distribution. So type 1, comma. And then for type, we are going to run a paired t-test because we want to compare non-distracted to distracted, so paired data. So type 1 again and hit enter. And that is our p-value here for the t-test that we ran for non-distracted and distracted data. Now the last thing you need to do is graph your data. So click over here in any of the blank spaces, and then we're going to insert a chart. So up here, click insert. We're going to insert a clustered column 2D. So it's this first option here, click, and it should be blank. If Excel tries to predict the formatting for your chart area and it generates a chart here, just delete the chart and insert a new one, and it should give you a blank one like this. You don't want to use anything that's pre-filled. So with the chart selected, come up here to select data, and this box will pop up here. So for our chart data range, make sure your little mouse is here, your cursor's in this box, and then select your 2 averages. Okay. After you select the averages, you'll see that they will be added to the chart here. We have a column for non-distracted and a column for distracted, but you don't want to leave it as 1 and 2. We want to name those columns. So here in your edit box, click on edit under horizontal axis labels, And for axis label range, go ahead and select non-distracted and distracted and hit enter. And now we see that our columns are renamed to show non-distracted and distracted. And then go ahead and click OK. Now we need to add our standard deviation bars. So clicking anywhere here in the chart, go up here to the top and click Add Chart Element. And we're going to add error bars. So after you select error bars, you're going to select standard deviation. Now you see little bars have appeared. We do need to format these bars so that they show properly on our chart. So double click on either one and you'll get your formatting box over here. You'll scroll down until you get to error amount. Standard deviation will be highlighted. We're going to select custom, specify value, and then here where it says positive error value, you're going to select your 2 standard deviations. So just select there. And then you're going to do the exact same thing for your negative error values. Select your 2 standard deviations again and click OK. Now our standard deviation, our error bars are correct on our columns. And then just to finish it out, we do need to add a couple chart elements. So we have our title here. We're going to add another element. We're going to do axis titles. And then we're going to add a vertical axis title. Okay. Our vertical axis is going to be time in seconds. Make sure you include your units. So seconds are going to be your units. You do not need, in this case, a label for the horizontal axis because our columns have been labeled as non-distracted and distracted. So we don't need a label there. We do need to name our chart though. So give it a unique title. I'm going to call my chart non-distracted. Distracted experiment, or reaction times, I guess we'll call it. But you can name it anything relevant to your experiment. Make sure you name it though. Do not just leave it as chart title. So again, we have our chart is titled here. We have these labels for our columns here. Our error bars are here. And then we have our vertical axis labeled as well over here. So this is what I'm looking for full credit, is your graph to look like this. And then I'm also going to check your averages, your standard deviation, and then the t-test that you. Let me know if you have any questions.